Alright, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the Tokyo 1600 meters Champions Meet, and more specifically, we will be talking about what cards you will want to use for your respective decks. One thing that has been going around is, MooMooCows, should I go for a full Guts deck? How many Guts cards do I need to use? What kind of cards am I aiming for in order to min-max my horse? So why is Guts so important for this CM? Is because there is a straight line here, 500 meters-ish, which means that there's a very high chance of dueling, and backliners duel very often, and that extra speed from dueling is enough to make them win the game very, very hard. So that's why you want to have a lot of Guts, as Guts is the stat that judges the dueling power. There's also notably stat thresholds for this track, which means that if you get 600 stamina and 600 Guts, you will be able to get additional bonus speed. It's every 300. So 300 stamina, you get a bit of speed. 600, you get additional stack of speed. 900, you get additional stack of speed. So the most min-maxy way would actually to be 900, 900. But this is also Tokyo 1600. You don't have to go for 900, 900. There's way too much stat wasted on those two stats that could have gone to your wit and your power and your speed. So that's why a lot of people will probably be recommending you to go for 900 Guts or something like that, because ultimately you don't really need that much stamina. You rather just get 900 Guts. So that will be a goal for you to go for if you are min-maxing to that level. But of course, when you go for that, you don't sacrifice the other stats. If you sacrifice the other stats while going for that, then it's actually not that worth it, right? If you had 600 power or like 700 power and you had 900 Guts, your horse is tremendously worse than just pumping the power straight up. Right? That's just how it is. Power, wit, speed, higher priority, Guts, lowest priority. So whatever Guts you can get is the how much Guts you can afford to get, right? So the ideal thresholds for most of the casual player base at this point be mainly aiming for 600. If you can go for 900, you'll also be very, very good. Another reason why you should probably keep sticking to your 222 decks as examples over here is because of access to skills, right? Certain skills are going to be very, very important for this Champions Meet in particular. 1600 meter Champions Meet, notably, end closers are the strongest, correct? So basically, if you have Narita Taishin over here, for example, then you want to toss them in with Encroaching Shadow. So you have to use Mr. CB's card. And if you have to borrow that because you did not pull it, then it's going to be very, very bad. Okay, let's say not Taishin. How about more generic horse? Let's go to a generic horse here, which is Ghost Ship. I want to use Ghost Ship. Then you want to get Daring Strike, you want to get Straightaway Spurt, and you want to also have very good power, very good speed, and also very good wit as much as possible with a little bit of Guts dipped inside, right? Depending on your cards, your deck could function and look differently, but I think a lot of people are using decks like this where it's Kita-san plus Shinko because they just have no better options, and then for their wit cards, they hopefully have at least Fine Motion over here, and then they also have at least a +1 wit card here, or they're just borrowing the Mr. CB. And then for the last two filler cards, the filler cards are just race bonus, so a lot of the cheap race bonus cards are Nishino Flower and the very free Marvelous Sunday Power card over here, right? So this is a very, very nice cheap-ish deck that you only need 2 SSRs to go and function. This one's a free card, so it doesn't really count, right? So with this kind of deck over here, what is the race bonus that you get? 15, 30, 35, right? 35, and then we have 45, 55, and then 60. 60% race bonus. That is very, very good. I know the basic race bonus requirement is 50 to 55%, right? But higher race bonus is better, because if you were min-maxing your races, what happens is that the more races you do, the more stats you're going to get, and your races actually function like rainbow clicks, and so you only click your rainbows if it's a double rainbow, and then you race 90% of the time, because every time you race, you're getting so many stats from higher race bonus. Getting 60 or even 70% race bonus is very, very powerful, and so that should be a goal for everyone to try and aim for if possible.
Hey everybody, this is Catrell P, one of MooMooCows editors, just coming in here to talk a bit more about the meta. I've seen people ask, can you out-SP your opponent and not use Guts deck? Well, the answer is a bit complicated. On backliners, it's quite common to see them run out of skills to buy. One of the editors was showing me how they leaked 500 SP on a fast learner run, and they had to buy bad skills like acceleration, straightaway excel, and you can fix this by having better parents. One of my friends is running a 6 inherit gold chip fast learner that they'll bring to CM. But if you don't have good parents, if you have cope parents, one of the options you can do is you can run Guts build, and it will make up for the fact that, hey, you have no skills to buy. You can instead run Guts deck, especially Bamboo Memory, which has a gold skill for backliners, to make up for the fact that you don't have as many good skills to buy. On front runners, however, I would recommend against Guts build, just because there is so many front skills to buy that I have had runs with 45 race fast learner and I'm still not able to afford everything. It is a thing of you have to hit all those skills during inspo and during run, but there is so many with productive plan and yielding spirit, changing gears, so many skills to get that you generally will want to not run full guts deck. You can try a 2 guts deck on front, but only if you're hitting 1200 wit, 1200 speed, mile S, groundwork, the usual stuff that you really need on a front runner. After you've gotten a copace like that, yeah, you can go to guts deck, but otherwise I would recommend against it.
The Guts version of this deck is trickier as the cards are harder to get. The other 15% Guts cards that you can swap with these power cards here are notably Admire Vega Guts, as well as nothing else. There's no other 15% Guts card at this tier over here. The only other risk bonus you can get is probably the SSRs at this point, such as Ikuno Dictus, who has 15% race bonus on it, right? So it is significantly harder to try to achieve these kinds of race bonus thresholds with these kinds of cards here, assuming you are making an encloser go ship. So that's why the Guts deck can sometimes nerf your deck significantly in the race bonus department, which will affect your stat gains. Of course, nerfing it by a little bit is not so bad, right? It's still okay to maybe use something like a Yukino Bijin, because at least you're compensating by getting playtimes over or something like that, right? Playtimes over plus a very good Guts card that gives you full on Guts, and Maya Vega is 15% race bonus and gives you speed and power, so it's very good. But what if I don't have this? What if I put in Haru Rara MooMooCows? Then you are praying for RNG, because while Haru Rara is recommended heavily by many players, if you've tried it yourself, you should know that her bonds is very RNG. She has 0 starting bond, and by the time you might be clicking her, you might be solo clicking Yukino Bijin at this point in time, right? So Haru Rara is a good card, but a bit of a difficult card to use in your deck and might burn you out even more. So dipping the hands into Haru Rara is very tricky. If you ever tried to bond something that starts at 0, you should know that it's going to be a lot of luck in that regard. Alright, what about Air Groove MooMooCows? 10% race bonus, I can use that, right? Well, no, because it's a really shit card. Friendship bonus of 20% is really low. It's basically Kita-san Black's level of friendship bonus. So every time those Guts Rainbows appear, her alone is really trash. But her plus extra cards here is still really trash, right? I'd rather get a 30% Fat Rainbow combined with another maybe 10% or 15% TE, and at least that will give me additional stat lines, right? Air Groove is one of the weaker cards to go and toss into your deck, so that's why we don't really want to use Air Groove either, right? So while there are options for Guts, and you do want to shove them into your deck, you may not have the willpower to continue making them. That's what I'm worried about, right? We already are losing so many players. I'd rather you guys chill out a little bit. That's why the brainless way is just get the good old Nishino Flower, 15% race bonus, easy card to get, and also get the Marvelous Sunday Power, which is a literal free card. And with that, you get your 30% with basically no qualms, and you just get 600 Guts and you will be fine. The people that you fight will also be like that, because they also don't want to play the game anymore. If you look at the Steam charts, people have left the game already, right? Many people are complaining about Make a New Track. People are praying for Grand Life to come. I already have many friends who already stopped playing the game because they hate Make a New Track, and because they have no time to play Make a New Track and they are going somewhere else, right? Some people are just reusing their old horses for every single CM because they just don't want to play Make a New Track anymore. It's just too long for the effort required. That's why people don't want to go and do it anymore. So this was already expected long ago, and I do not expect you guys to min-max that hard for a Tokyo 1600 meters Champions Meet. For that upcoming CM, if you want to do the 2 Guts build, you can, but it will require some money as well. So let's say you want to use a 2 Guts build here, then you will need to go and grab either Admire Vega or some of the strongest Guts cards of this time, which is the Bamboo Memory, which doesn't give you 15% race bonus, but gives you very good mouse skills, and also maybe I don't know who else really. Like Admire Vega, hopefully, if you have it, because there really is not many other options for the alternative gut slot here that has the 15% raise bonus you're looking for, as well as have relevant mouse skills, right? At least Vega has end closer straight away, so that's something usable for Go Shit, for example, right? So that's the reasonings for why I would rather you go and shove this card in there. It's still a very strong card, really damn strong, right? With this kind of deck here, you can get a 10%, 15%, and 5% here. So that's 20, 30, 40, 50, and hopefully you get another 10% here instead of Kita-san for a 60% raise bonus, right? That will give you incredible stat lines and also incredible raise bonus, so that your races are very good. Any raise bonus above 60% is very consistent. I can recommend that, right? So whatever combination you want to use here, this is the recommendation that I will give to you. And if you are burnt out, don't worry, everyone will be using this deck over here because they just have no access to the other one. And if they are using the other guts deck over there, it's not necessarily they are going to win you every time, because having more races, having more skill points is better than having more guts. Having one extra green skill for speed is better than getting 300 extra guts. I want to put that into context here, right? So that is the final decision here. Just use your typical double power, double wit, double speed. If you can slot in the guts cards because you're rich, feel free to do that if you want to. All right, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Any other questions or any more details required, please go through the Discord, can DM me through Ko-fi, or you can try and ask me questions during my Twitch or YouTube live streams. That's it, guys. Bye bye.